When you've signed up for your hosting account, your hosting provider most likely sends you an email with all the details on how to connect to your control panel and so on. And that's exactly what we received from Heart Internet. You can see there's a quick start guide as well if you want to obviously learn a little bit more about how to use it. Your domain name, there is a temporary web address. You can click on this link and it will show you basically what's inside of the main root project of your root folder of your site, which is the default index.html file with this sort of content. Basically, we are going to remove this file before we start uploading our files. And if we scroll down, then we have domain name, the FTP access. Obviously, don't worry, I'm going to change this password right after this video. Then we have extend control panel, which is basically the control panel for our hosting. Then you have how to set up your email and so on. The one we are interested in at the moment is the extend control panel. This is the link to access the hosting control panel, which is customer.heartinternet.uk/manage. Obviously, if you've registered your account with someone else, then your URL is going to be completely different. If you don't know, if you didn't receive the email, contact the support team to find out what it is, and then obviously follow from there. I'm going to click on this link. This will take me to the login screen. Obviously, if you've logged out previously from the session after the purchase of the hosting, then you will have to log in. And now I'm just going to quickly log into my hosting account, and I see in just a minute. Now I have a slightly different account with Heart Internet, so you may not have all of the options that you're going to see on the screen right now. But on the right hand side, if we scroll down, you have manage, and then we should have web hosting. If we click on this button, this should take us back to the page we've seen before with the drop down menu with all of the packages that we have available. Our one is Home Pro accounts. Discover.php.co.uk. Obviously, you will have a different domain name, the one you've chosen, and if you've chosen any other package, the package will be different as well. If we click on Access Extend, this will take us back to the control panel for our website, for our web hosting. And that's pretty much as far as we want to go right now. Let's now switch to a new tab and navigate to filezilla-project.org, and then we're going to click on the download page. Basically, if you are on a home page, then click on the download Filezilla Client, all platforms, and you can download the version of Filezilla Client down to your computer. I've already done this, and I've already installed Filezilla. You obviously need to do it whether you're on Windows, Mac or Linux. Obviously make sure that you've installed it first. And now I'm going to switch to my copy of Filezilla Client, which is basically a software that allows us to transfer files from our computer to the remote server. The first thing we need to do is to log in to our server using this FTP client. We need hostname, username, password, and port. By default, FTP port is 21, so we can type it in straight away. Now let's switch back to the browser. I'm going to close this Filezilla page. And if we scroll down, you may remember we had this section for FTP here. So the first thing, username is going to be basically our domain name with this specific hosting provider. So for the username, we can paste the domain name. Now, if we go back, password, we need to click here to show, and this is that's the password, basically the FTP password. So if I switch back to the Filezilla, type in the password, then back to the browser, and FTP server, basically the host. You can either use FTP and then the domain name, or just the IP of the server. I tend to use the IP because I don't always set up the FTP subdomain with my main domain. So if I copy the IP address, if we go back, I just paste this IP address, and if I quickly click on Quick Connect, you can see on the right hand side we are now connected to our remote server, and this specific hosting uses public HTML as the root directory for our project, and there is this index.html file. If I just quickly expand this a little bit, this is the file inside of this public.html folder. As you can see, Filezilla splits directories and files this way, So when I click on a directory, I see the content of this directory in the window below. So we can, first of all, we can remove this file. So let's just right click and delete this file. Yes, we want to remove it from the remote server. Now let's navigate to our desktop on the right hand side, and then we have this PHP course directory with all of our files. This .idea, you probably don't have it if you are on the using any other editor. PHP Storm has created this one. This is the invisible, basically hidden directory, so we couldn't see it probably in the editor itself, or perhaps we did, can't remember. But we don't need to transfer this. We need to transfer assets. So basically drag and drop across to this public.html directory. Then images, same thing, so drag and drop. Same for the includes directory, pages, then we have partials, and whatever other files you're actually going to have with your project. Obviously, we only had all these files. Don't forget about this htaccess. It's pretty important because this one actually does our routing. Without this file, we won't be able to access any of these pages, basically, apart from the home page, which loads as the first page. So obviously, once we've loaded all of these files, that's pretty much all we need to do. If we now go back to our browser, and I'm just going to copy the name of this domain name, open new tab, paste it in, refresh the page from the last, and there we go. You're probably gonna have to refresh the page a few times because browser might have cached this if you obviously access this domain before. And now you can see our website is now hosted on a remote server under our domain name, and everything seems to be working fine. Before we finish this video, let's quickly go to the contact us page and test our form now on a remote server. If I select one of the options here, put my name, Sebastian Sulinski, then let's put info@ssdtutorials.com, some fake telephone number, say 800 800 800, and my comment goes here. If we now send the message, and there we go, we get a confirmation. Everything seems to be working fine, and I'm pretty sure I received the message. You should see the same message. That would indicate that the code has been processed successfully. Check your mailbox to make sure that you obviously received it, unless obviously you've provided the wrong receiver email address in your code. Double check it as well. And that's everything in a series. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, please use our comment section.